In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this regular meeting of the Planning Board of the Township of Franklin has been provided. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman, you probably do want to have a warm welcome for our newest member, Alex Garazi.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
He-
Alex,
he's-
as a Class 1 regular member.
He's
Planning board.
been duly sworn by our illustrious attorney, so he's eligible to vote this evening. Councilman Chase. Here. Mr. Houck.
Here.
Mr. Garazi.
Here.
Ms. McIver is on vacation. Mr. Metler.
Here.
Mr. Manzarek. Mr. Pettis, Mr. Thomas is ill this evening, he called. Ms. Ragnow.
Here.
Ms. Amola. Chairman Orsini.
Here. So before we get too into the agenda tonight, it's become a very abbreviated agenda. VGS Holdings, 745 Hamilton Street, Benefit Mall, Hamilton Street Management are all going to be carried with no further notice needed. So if you're here for that, or if you're watching on TV and want to know when it is, I'll go through these. So VGS Holdings will be carried to February 3rd, 2016, again with no further notice. 745 Hamilton Street to March 2nd with no further notice. Benefit Mall, it's really not a mall, just a pad for an emergency generator on Atrium Drive, so you'll get too wrapped around the axle there. Carried to February 3rd, 2016. And Hamilton Street Management LLC also carried to March 2nd, 2016, all with no further notice needed. So the only hearing we'll have tonight is Stephen R. Sluka, which I hope I pronounced correctly. We'll get to that in a minute, literally. For now, I can entertain a motion for the minutes from the regular meeting of December 16th. Are there any corrections there too? Mm-hmm.
I wanted to shorten the next hearing. All right, so we're doing the,
So yeah, I'm looking for a motion for the minutes or any corrections there too prior to a motion.
Mr. Councilman Chase, Mr. Houck, Mr. Metler, and Chairman Orsini can vote.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Mr. Houck,
Yes.
Mr. Metler,
Yes.
Chairman Orsini.
Yes. Okay, so we have a resolution for L'Oreal,
Same four.
PLN 15-00016. I believe this is for the solar panels.
Yes.
So I will make a motion to approve.
I will second.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Mr. Houck,
Yes.
Mr. Metler,
Yes.
Chairman Orsini.
Yes. Stephen R. Sluka, PLN 15-00018. Everything else in your packets, please save till either the February or March meetings that they're going to be heard on.
Good evening, Catherine Kopp from the Law Office of Peter Lamford, appearing on behalf of the applicant. I am going to do my best to keep this as brief as possible tonight.
Very brief.
So really quickly, we are here for a minor subdivision in order to divide a property to create two separate lots where currently a duplex exists on one lot. And with that, I am going to call my first witness, Stephen Sluka.
Raise your right hand. Solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Please give your name and address for the record, please.
Stephen Sluka, I live at 12 Grigg Street, Somerset, New Jersey.
Okay, and you own the subject property, correct?
Yes, I do.
All right, and there's a duplex built on the property right now?
Yes,
And there are 3 bedrooms in each unit?
that's correct.
Okay, do you live in either unit?
No,
Okay. Both units are currently rented out to tenants?
yes,
Okay, and you want to sell the property, correct?
yes,
All right, have you tried to sell the property as it currently exists?
yes,
And have you been able to find a suitable buyer for the property as it currently exists?
no,
Okay, so your hope is to subdivide and then sell each separate lot to separate buyers, correct?
yes.
Okay, I have no further questions for this witness.
Does the board have any questions for this one?
You know, if you're this quick all the time, we may require Peter to
Stay home.
have you cover him anymore. Don't
Is
have
he
to
on
listen to
vacation,
Peter.
or is he sunning himself in Florida, or has he got another
Well,
option?
he's in Florida.
He's in Florida.
He was
okay.
golfing this morning, although the weather down there is
great.
not very nice.
Well, then in that case, it's extended vacation then. So this witness will, remains available for questions since they're sworn. So
Yes.
go ahead to your next one.
Okay,
I see really, between all these comments, only one not major, but only one issue that you need to address.
yep, and we will address all of those. Okay, Mr. Fisk, if you could please identify yourself for the record.
Stephen M. Fisk is with a PH, F-I-S-K.
Raise your right hand. Solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
And your business address, please.
631 Union Avenue, Middlesex, New Jersey. I'll be testifying as a professional land surveyor and planner.
And since Mr. Fisk has testified before this board on many, many occasions, and I assume that your licensing is up to date, you'll be
Yes, sir.
accepted.
Okay.
Can continue.
Thank you. Mr. Fisk, can you please describe the site as it currently exists?
This property is in the R7 zone. It's on Alcorn Street. And the dimensions of the property are 125 feet wide by 100 feet deep. The zone presently requires 15,000 square feet for a two-family dwelling. However, when this building was approved for construction in 1989, the requirements were 100 feet wide by 10,000 square feet, and it exceeded those requirements. The purpose of the application is to subdivide this property in half along an existing party wall of a two-family dwelling, creating 2 lots that will be owned independently. The width of each lot will be 62.5 feet, and the area of each lot will be 6,250 feet. The neighborhood around Alcorn Street was originally developed in the 1950s, and Alcorn Street itself, the buildings were built in 1989 for 4 of them, 1991 and 2006. There are 4 two-family dwellings on Alcorn Street and 2 one-family dwellings. We are basically one of the largest lots in the area and the largest lot that has a two-family dwelling on it.
So by making this subdivision, are you changing any physical characteristics of the lot at all?
No, there are
There we go.
no improvements planned whatsoever for the property. The only variances involved are the lot area of 6,250 square feet and the lot width of 62.5 feet. In addition, there is a lot building coverage variance which presently exists. And the reason for that is that porches with roofs are now counted as building area. Otherwise, this property would have met the 20% requirement for building coverage. However, due to that change in policy, we are slightly over at 20.3%.
So all the variances essentially being created are just by basically drawing a line down the middle of this duplex?
That is correct, sir.
And which lot is that on?
Both lots will have a lot building coverage. Lot 73.01 will have 20.43%, and lot 76.01 will have 20.19%. That goes along with the overall coverage, if the lot were not subdivided, that presently has 20.3% coverage. And as I stated, the only reason for that is that we have added in the porch, which has a roof over it, which is now counted as building coverage under the current standards. There was one other variance mentioned for a side yard for the decks in the rear against this new property line that we're creating. However, in speaking to Vince, the zoning officer, it appears that by using the zero lot line, that the accessory buildings go along with that, and they don't have to be 8 feet off the new lot line, which is allowed to be zero for the principal building.
So that variance then goes away?
Right.
So the deck to the common is zero, basically, for the deck in a zero lot line
Yes.
situation? And it's to the outside that you'd have to, got it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And so that basically covers the variances. And as you stated, Mr. Chairman, the only reason we have them is by drawing a line through the middle of the property through the party wall.
So the one issue that is common to all the staff reports that I can see is just, what happens with common areas.
Right, and I have spoken to my client, and provided that the subdivision is allowed, he will have a written agreement prepared so that when the property is sold to individual owners, the individual owners will have to be a party to this written maintenance agreement so that the individual owners will have to work out the common areas. Mr. Fisk can provide the testimony, there are very few shared features of the building.
I guess the question is that acceptable to our attorney?
Well, let's find out. So the shared features, obviously, there's not usually in a situation where you have attached units, commonly there's a party wall that goes through and breaks through the roof and the wall. Here, there's kind of a seamless, roof and siding. So how does that work out in terms of one homeowner's going to own one lot, one's going to own the other lot?
Those would be your
They
common
cross.
features, your roof and your
What else?
siding without a defined seam in it.
And is there anything else?
No, the chimney that was brought up has 2 flues. They're on each property.
Okay.
That does not apply.
Okay, but the exterior of the chimney is a common area.
The actual mortar around the chimney, yes.
So
Would be
the
common.
best way to draw up that agreement would be as a recorded easement?
I recorded, we can record, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it would be an easement.
Well, you may want to see how it shapes up when you start drafting it. I don't know if there are access issues, so that you may want it to be cross-access.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a line on the roof, okay?
Right.
Roofer's going to have to step on the other side, I think, to do the
Right.
roof correctly.
I was thinking that it would be something similar to a shared driveway agreement. Whether it's recorded or not, it would be something similar. Shared driveways are relatively common. The neighbors have to work it out, and usually,
I would think what you do is you just work it out with
Yeah.
our attorney. As long as the
Yeah.
two of you work it out,
Yeah.
then,
yeah, I mean, I'm sure we can find something,
Yeah.
It would be
That would
filed
work.
at the time of the subdivision,
the
whatever
the
agreement.
written agreement?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
filed at the same
Yeah.
time.
yeah.
I mean, because, right, there has to be something that legally compels both parties to actually act in good faith, and not one person say, well, I don't feel like contributing to the roof repair, I just don't.
My side's not in need
Yeah,
of repair, but yours is.
exactly. So, yeah, I mean, there has to be something that's concrete and unambiguous to be able to do that. Or you could imagine there's problems. I mean, most people act in good faith, but most, not all.
Right.
Bob?
And the shared wall, I assume, is a firewall.
Yes.
And does that firewall extend up into the attic?
Yes, yes, there's like two different 2x4 walls that extend. So each unit has a firewall and a firewall, but it's called a firewall that was built to the house, and that extends through the roof.
It does, good, very good.
Okay, all the other staff comments, are there anything that you cannot agree to, pay the water bill, that kind of thing?
We have no problem with anything on the engineering memorandum.
Good.
Okay, but we are requesting a waiver for the curb installation and the sidewalk, correct?
Yes, we would be requesting that. I think Mr. Healy addressed that in his
Why do you need
memorandum.
it? It says, due to existing roadway conditions, the engineering department does not see the need to widen pavement or install curb.
Right.
Yeah.
He also saw no reason to install sidewalks in his memorandum.
So what do you need a waiver from?
You need a waiver, he's agreeing with, he's saying you don't have to do it.
Okay. And then,
Just pay the water accounts. It says there's 2 accounts, both delinquent for 4 quarters of 2015.
okay, we can get those current.
Yeah, we won't sign the subdivision deeds unless it's current.
Other
Just
than
so-
that, everything else is current, I think.
I just have a question.
Then go.
All right. Counselor, I realize Mr. Fisk is not a planner.
Oh, he is.
Oh, he is?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, pardon me.
No, he's.
Thousand pardons. Wonderful.
Oh,
I
he's,
said that because
no, he's testified many
it
times.
says Stephen M. Fisk, LS, licensed surveyor. Wonderful. Can you give us a justification for each prong of the negative criteria with respect to the lot width and the lot area variances, please?
Yes, I have some additional testimony on that. In 2008, the planning board approved almost an identical application across Alcorn Street on lots 63.01 and 65.01, which I'll point out on this map on the easel. That property was split not exactly in half, but the lot widths, for example, were 48.33 feet and 51.67 feet, which are both considerably less than what we are asking for in our subdivision. There has also been other instances in the township where the planning board has approved very similar applications such as this, and I don't believe this application will negatively impact the neighborhood or the zoning or master plan at all. I think it's a good idea to have the property divided with individual owners such that they can have a property they can call their own and maintain it.
So this would be
Yeah.
C1.
C2, it's a mix of the C2.
Yeah, it's a C2, it's not a C1, there's really no hardship here.
Correct.
The board that you have up there, the ones shaded in yellow, are those the other 2 families?
That is correct.
Okay.
The gray block is our property. The 4 yellow boxes are the 2 families in the immediate neighborhood. And I'll mark that
Mark that,
A1 if you
please.
like.
Yeah.
I have dated it also January 20th.
You mentioned that there'd be no impairment to the master plan or the zoning ordinance. Do you see any detriment at all to the public good?
No, I don't. I think this is a good idea for this property, and it gives each owner more of a sense of their community.
Would you think that those who are owners as opposed to tenants are more likely to maintain the property in a better condition?
I certainly would.
Okay.
Yeah, may I ask a question? These 2 units that you have, do they have basements?
Yes, they do.
Okay, the sump pump and the water issues, are they common sump pump? Is that
They're separate.
I'm sorry? They're separate?
Yes.
Thanks, Alec. Any other questions for any?
You're done with your direct?
I am done.
I think you could just take notice that there is no public. He doesn't
Yes.
count. He's only quasi-public.
Okay, well, we'll take note that there is no public present, so therefore we will not open to the public. Therefore, I'll simply entertain a motion on this application. All right, I guess I'll make it. So I make a motion to approve this application with the two variances, both C2 for lot area, lot frontage, and with the condition that a workout language for treatment of the common areas between the two attorneys.
Yeah, and the building coverage variances that the surveyor identified.
Yes.
And pay the water bill.
And
I'll second.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Hauk?
Yes.
Ms. Karazi?
Yes.
Mr. Mettler?
Yes.
Ms. Ragnow?
Yes.
And Chairman Orsini.
yes,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome. That was brief. So, given that we have a few minutes on our hands, not to take a lot of time, but let me bring up an issue that Dr. Chase raised that I'll paraphrase for the interest of sort of summing it up, which is essentially that, Ted serves as a member of the, green team, and they have certain recommendations that, are not compulsory to follow for planning and zoning boards to have increased public involvement, and Ted informs me that we do most of those. One of the things we don't do, that the Open Space Committee does, for example, is an initial opening of the public for general comments before the, aside and apart from any of the major applications. And so what I wanted to do briefly was get the board's feedback on, what they feel about this. I envision that it would be something done before the hearings, but after the, minutes, resolutions, roll call, et cetera. And it would be for a very defined amount of time with a defined amount of time per speaker. Many times, we probably would not even need that time, but there are occasions where people might want to say something to the board outside of commenting on specific applications. So if they're there to comment on a specific application, we would tell them to obviously wait until that application. Because you can imagine what would happen, like with, Canal Walk, that might get a little ugly, especially when, you haven't heard the testimony yet. But if somebody wanted to bring up a zoning, or not a zoning, but a planning issue before the board, I think they should have the right to do that. I wouldn't want to make it open-ended or tremendously long, but the way I would think about it would be maybe no more than a half hour, 2 to 3 minutes per speaker. I think that would more than cover anything we would ever get outside of a master plan hearing or a regular hearing for any application in which the comments would be taken in the context of that hearing. However, I'm very interested in getting the feedback of the board on this. Bob.
Mr. Chairman, my recollection is vague, but I do believe that many years ago, the planning board used to do that.
You are true. That is correct. It's actually in the bylaws that allows for that public session, so you wouldn't even have to change the bylaws. At some point, the board, whatever point, decided to take that off.
And I was rather surprised that coming back to the planning board at some point, it didn't exist anymore. So I would be happy to see it come back.
It's probably Mike's fault. He probably made me take it off.
No, it even predates my time, because I remember even when I came on as an alternate, long before I was vice chair or chair, we did not have a general opening. And so, but even though it's difficult to believe, Bob's experience predates even mine, and so I defer, and I believe.
Now you're gonna make, now I'm interested, I'm gonna go back and find out.
I don't
And it
ever,
was
I
taken
don't
off.
ever remember, public.
Ted doesn't remember? You don't remember, Ted, when it was taken off?
Remember?
It's been at least 13 years.
Well, then it would predate me.
Mr. Chairman,
Might have had it when I first came on, but I really don't remember. So what we would have to do functionally is just add a
Add it-
line in the agenda.
That's all we need to do. It's already in the bylaws. Don't even have to change the bylaws.
I would be interested, though, in hearing.
I will find out, because now I'm interested knowing when it changed.
Well, you can go back in the archives and see.
It's real
that'll
easy
be
to go back.
interesting, Yeah. Alex?
yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think, obviously, we are here to serve the public. And having the public involvement at a certain extent, as you described, not to overburden, I think is the right thing, and I support that idea. If our bylaws allows it, I think we should take advantage of it.
Okay. So it sounds like there's general concurrence that we should do it. Now, about parameters. I had made an initial suggestion, and it's only a suggestion, of 30 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes per speaker. That would allow somewhere between, well, let's just be conservative and say 10 speakers. I don't ever recall any time where anybody's wanted to address the board more than that. If there unless there's a special circumstance, the board certainly has the flexibility to extend that. But outside of a hearing, it's probably pretty rare.
And I would assume you want to put this right before we start the hearings, correct?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I would, like in tonight's, I would do it after the roll call, the minutes and the resolutions, get those out of the way. And then, I don't think we can do it after the hearings because there's no predictability on when those will end
No,
and people would be waiting. But I also think in deference to the people who are here for the hearings, we can't have it, go on forever and have them wait either, since they're paying for the professional representation, both planning.
So we'll
lawyers.
add it, and then it'll be up to you to control it, assuming that anyone actually comes to speak.
What does everybody think about the time and duration, though? I'm interested.
Council does 3 minutes.
Mhm.
They don't usually have a total time limit. Some special sessions, they might have a total time limit. But I think we could have a limit of 30 minutes total.
I think on the council agenda, I think it even says 3 minute. So the public know, right off the bat, you have 3 minutes and altogether 30 minutes, and it's on the little note on the agenda.
And we can have Vince time it. And like I said, we have the flexibility as a board that if, somebody's coming with something that, is really an issue and we want to take more time, we have the ability to do that at any point in the meeting, whether it's then or, you go into the hearings and come back to it, or, the board has latitude to adjust its agenda on the fly.
Yeah, I think that's your job to control. Plus,
Yep.
we're going to be having workshop meetings most of the rest of this year
Mhm.
to deal with the master plan. So if anything, I think we'd be inviting people to come to the workshop meetings.
Right. But I'm
So-
certainly sure that there's people who would occasionally, and maybe now that they know that we're going to institute this again, which I agree with Bob and Alex is a, open government good thing, that we would get some other folks who are saying, well, I don't know why this is this here, or, can you do this here? We need, I don't know, curbing here, You could have any kind of issue, but I think it worthwhile to have it and see where it goes with it. So, okay, if we don't need anything other than to put a line
Nope,
in, then
we'll just stick it in there.
we'll just put a line in.
Chairman, just on the time, the 3 minutes is good, but I think if I remember correctly from the council meetings, there's no repeat. So in other words,
Right.
they don't allow a person to repeat. So you
Mhm.
may want to just make those on the minutes, so it's pretty clear.
Yeah, and that's instruction that I can provide when we open to the public and say, 3 minutes per speaker, say your piece. We're not going to go with any repeating.
Yeah, and Mike will do that, and as long as he makes it clear that it's for matters not on the agenda.
Right.
Because that's really the key. They can talk all they want when they come to the matters on the agenda during the public session, so. Same the way the council does.
Sounds good. Vince, we have anything else before we adjourn?
Mark sure does.
Okay.
He's just gonna hand out, and he'll explain to you what we're doing as far as the.
Oh, right,
master-
we have our
I
master
already-
plan reexamination schedule.
Yeah. You don't really have to do anything with it tonight, but just a brief discussion. It's homework. Because we are meeting next week. We will have a workshop meeting next week in the room over there.
I heard it might snow this weekend, so this might be.
I can't remember when
Thank
we
you.
last had a workshop.
Oh, God.
I know.
Snowy Saturday.
Probably longer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've had some like during the meeting, but none that I can remember in there.
Not the fourth Wednesday.
It's a long time, probably even longer.
I'm gonna sit over here.
I probably have land use committee before it.
Been sworn for the year, Mark?
I've been sworn, yes, and I'm a licensed professional planner. Okay, so this, as we said, this is basically a homework assignment. We're going to start discussing the master plan reexamination at the work session next Wednesday. This is really the first, the master plan reexamination is really the first step in a two-step process we're going to do for the master plan. This is per the municipal land use law. We basically evaluate what was in the last master plan, what's been done since then, what planning issues and zoning issues have changed since the last master plan, and then what are some of the recommendations and issues we want to address in the master plan, with the master plan, again, being the second step, which we're going to do after we adopt this. The goal is to adopt the master plan reexamination by March 16th. What you have before you is basically the first half of that report. This covers a number of the elements or portions of the master plan. It addresses the land use plan, the housing elements, the open space and recreation plan, the farmland preservation plan, environmental resource inventory, conservation plan, the historic preservation plan, and the pathways and trails plan. I'm going to be submitting, giving you a separate submittal in a few weeks that's going to address the other elements: community facilities, utilities, circulation, economic plan, and recycling. So what the goal, again, is to start reading this. This is I'll stress and with underline and bolding that this is a draft. Obviously, at the end of the day, you're adopting this, not me. So this is kind of my first attempt at going through these different master plan elements, highlighting what's been done since then, making some recommendations on what we should be doing in the master plan. But it's up to you to read this. Tell me whether you would agree or disagree. Are there issues missing? Should we be addressing things in a different way? And again, that discussion is going to start next Wednesday at the work session. And then we have a schedule here for, we'll have some time at the end of the meeting on February 3rd. Then we're going to have 17th and the 24th. We have 2 more full work sessions where we can work this out. And then again and then March 2nd, if we need to, we have another. So we basically have, better part of 5 meetings to get this done before March 16th, with March 16th being a statutory, we want to have this adopted before the 10-year period expires, which is March 22nd. So this document basically hits 2 main things. One, we want to adopt it because it addresses a statutory requirement, the 10-year period, but it also forms kind of the outline for the new master plan. Kind of basically sets forth, the framework and the base analysis for what are we going to say in the master plan? What are the different things and issues and recommendations we want to pursue? So kind of think of it in that way. So with that said, happy reading.
How busy, Vince, does March 16th look? Because it looks to me as though that is going to be the time when we have the public hearing. Prior to our
The
adoption.
March 16th meeting, we don't have anything on the agenda right now.
I would just leave it without that.
Well,
opinion.
the answer to that will be that we have 2 matters scheduled for March 2nd.
Mhm.
Both the Hamilton Street ones, probably one will kick to the 16th. So probably what the suggestion will be, and we'll talk about it in the first meeting of next month, because we'll know better, if we may want to start the 16th meeting a little earlier, 6:30 or 7 o'clock, so that we can do the master plan. We're probably going to have to hear those two matters. We've been, as you know, we've kicked them a bunch of times. They're doing very well, but we, as the chairman and the board has directed us, you want them to be 95% satisfied with staff comments before they come. And they're about at 65, 70 right now, and we expect them to be where you want them to be by those dates. So I would expect both of those meetings in March to have one of those. But we'll know better in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I just, to the greatest extent possible, I'd like to, dedicate the evening to that so that public can focus on the master plan if there is public. I know since this is not a full, it's just a re-examination, it's not a full bore. I remember in the past, I think it was 2006, we had a road show where we went to different areas of the township and we had public, and sometimes we got some attendance and sometimes we didn't. Since we're only having one, it's only a re-examination, not a full-blown, we should at least try to dedicate that evening to the master plan. And if no one shows up, then they don't show up, but at least we have the opportunity not to, sort of rush it. So, as best we can, let's try to, either work with the applicant, if we need to load up the March 2nd, and we'll do that. If we need to have a regular meeting in place of a work session later in March, because we need to, if they can, if they're willing
Yeah,
to extend our
we'll know better
action.
in 2 or 3 weeks because we're waiting for resubmittals. So depending on when they get us the resubmittals, that we need 3 weeks, so
Yeah.
we can talk and figure that out. It's Lanford and Linus represent them, so if we need to tell him, we're gonna stay here to 10:30 one night, or to 11 the night, so we can have the whole thing, you can make that decision and we can tell them that.
Yeah.
I think we'll also have to see how far along and how quickly we go through this. And we may go through this and who knows? We could be ready. You may find there's only relatively minor changes to this and maybe we end up moving the hearing up to March 2nd. Depending on how things go, we're going to have to see. But this is basically the outline. This is giving us the most amount of time possible before March 16th. One of the things we did, too, is Vince and I went through the schedule earlier this evening. February 17th, for the exact reason, we basically are making that a work session only.
Yes.
So the board will have the time to discuss this draft. And we're not going to have any applications that night. That's going to be a work session.
Okay. Sounds good.
That's it. Just remember, next week we are meeting. We'll meet in the large conference room to our left.
Well, for the master plan, I think we should have our attorney there for the.
That's
for the
fine.
Master plan. Usually for work sessions, we let them stay home, but I think for the master plan, it's probably best if they be there.
For everyone.
Well, I was
The attorney.
referring to February 17th. Yeah, when we have the hearing, he should be here.
We can
Talk
talk
about
to-
it.
Yeah.
You can go. I'm just thinking out loud.
Thanks, Mark.
That's it.
Without anything else from anybody? No. Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
See you all next week.
I
Second.
assume I got a second. All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
All right.